Okay, so just sit yourself down on your lift and just sit in a cross-leg position. So whichever is your kind of normal cross-leg position, sorry, let me move that chair out of the way. Whichever is your normal cross-leg position, swap your legs around so you do the kind of the unexpected cross legs, and it just kind of it will demonstrate a little bit more about how you sit. So first of all, when you sit the kind of other way around, it feels kind of really unnatural, doesn't it? So walk your feet kind of underneath your knees, and again the whole thing just feels a bit weird and unusual. Just roll over, just move the buttock flesh, just so that you're kind of starting kind of afresh. Feel that the outside edge of the feet can make good contact with the floor, and feel that you're sitting evenly. And at first that probably doesn't feel very even, so you have to shuffle about until it feels like you suddenly feel even. It's good to kind of give yourself this alternative every now and then, because we kind of just get used to sitting in the same way. So even after a little while, you realize actually this doesn't feel very level at all, and you have to just shuffle around a little. So I'm just having to adjust my meditation cushion so that it feels more level underneath. Grip around your knees, lift and open the chest, drive the spine upwards. Just stay with the seat bones, stay in the seated position, and just observe the levelness. Does it feel level? So for example, what is happening with the feet? Now, when you cross your legs normally, you've kind of probably worked a way of not really noticing your feet. But now that you are kind of probably a little more conscious of your feet, the foot that's at the back, the foot that's at the front, the foot that's at the back, it possibly feels like there's a lot of weight on the little toe side and then not very much on the heel side. So see if you can kind of turn that leg a little so that that heel side of the foot comes down. This foot, maybe it feels like you're right on the top of the foot rather than on the edge of the foot. So just try and kind of be precise with the way that the outer edge of the foot makes contact with the floor. Again, it might just be the little toe side of the edge of the foot, and the heel might feel light. So just see if you can just adjust so that you have to activate your legs a little in order to make the pose feel more kind of actively engaged. Grip around your knees and lift and open the chest, drive the chest upwards and draw the shoulders down away from your ears. Just spend a few moments just observing your breath. So feeling the breath as it enters and as it exits. Listening to the sound of the breath. Feeling the upward and outward expansion of the chest. Feeling the back chest expand as much as the front chest. Stretch your arms out in front, extend into each individual finger. Draw your consciousness into each individual finger on both hands. So you stretch into the little finger, into the ring finger, into the middle finger, the index finger and the thumb, feeling that the palm skin spreads. Interlock the fingers right into the webbing of the hands, and then turn the palms all the way out. Don't worry about cracks and pops, that's good. Keep the thumbs in contact with each other. Squeeze the outer elbows in, and then raise your arms over your head. So again, just waking up the body, lifting from the hips up into the armpits, lifting from the armpits up into the elbows, into the heels of the hands, lengthening the arms beyond your ears. Just listening to the sound of the breath. So just observing how you connect with the floor, how the floor beneath you feels level or unlevel, how you can lift from the side ribs up into the armpits. Does it feel even on both sides? Chances are it doesn't. So you have to kind of work into both sides to kind of elongate evenly. Breathe in nice and softly. So straighten in those arms if you can. And then draw in the arms beyond your ears. That's it. So straightening your arms in and squeezing the outer elbows in. And then release your arms. Just let your hands just rest on top of the knees, and just feel how the arms feel a little like they're full of energy, a little lighter. Just let that energy come into your arms, and then stretch your hands out in front again, just drawing that consciousness into each individual finger, and then interlock the fingers the kind of unnatural way. If you can't work out whether this is the unnatural way or not, do it without thinking, and then swap around. So the opposite index finger is on the top, and then turn the palms all the way out, and then raise the arms up over your head. Advisable asana. Squeezing the outer elbows in, drawing the abdomen towards the spine, drawing those side ribs back, squeezing the outer elbows in, lifting and opening the chest, feeling that you can elevate the front chest up towards the ceiling. Just feel from the floor upwards whether you feel even. As you raise your arms over your head, aim to draw the shoulders down away from the ears. So you don't hunch, the shoulders come down, but you keep lifting the arms. So you just make space between the ears and the shoulders, or the tops of the shoulders anyway. And then just release your arms. And again, just let the arms just sit on, the hands sit on the knees. And then just feel that flow of energy that comes into the arms. Bring the hands into Namaste. Really spread the palms. Press the fingertips towards each other. Spread the fingers as much as you can, and then try and get the finger knuckles to make contact. So the heels of the hands are still apart, but make the finger knuckles make contact. Lengthen from the armpits into the elbows. Lengthen from the elbows in towards the heels of the hands, so that the heels of the hands finally come together, but the finger knuckles are really pressing firmly together. Lift the chest, draw the shoulders down. Look down at the floor at something that doesn't move. Just focus on inhalations from the bottom of the lungs to the top, exhalations from the top to the bottom. So just something as simple as Namaste, we can come into it in a different way. So we kind of disrupt our habitual manner of drawing ourselves into the pose. And when we interrupt the habitual nature of the pose, we feel the pose afresh. And gently close your eyes with an exhalation. So with your eyes closed, can you feel any differences in how the pose feels? So we're asking of the front brain to observe the physical body and the breath. We're asking of the back brain, the intellectual brain, to observe difference. The back brain isn't always as easy to engage. So just draw your attention to your ears. Just observe that you, although you can hear in 3 dimensions, you tend to just listen to what is directly either side of the ear. And then consciously develop the hind ear hearing behind you. Notice any changes in the eyes as you do. Continuing to listen to the sound of the breath. Observing the hind ear hearing. Don't allow the eyeballs to move up in the eye sockets as you aim to listen behind you. Developing that hind ear hearing. And then develop the fore ear hearing in front of you. So maintaining that hind ear hearing, broaden the spectrum of your hearing to the front. Then to the lower ear hearing. And the lower ear hearing helps us to feel and see the body. Draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone. Hold on to that feeling as you release your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. And as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open. So stretch the arms out in front and then raise the arms over your head. Driving the arms upwards, straight arms. So if you struggle to straighten your arms, bring your arms slightly wider. Lock the elbows like you would lock the knees. Turn the palms to face each other. Spread the fingers. Take a good, strong, deep inhalation in through the nose. With the exhalation, turn to the right. As you turn, try and maintain the length of both arms. Don't let one arm get long, one arm get short. Turn the shoulders, not the head. Shoulders and the ribs and the abdomen. And come back to the center, lift up into the palms, and then turn to the left. Keeping both arms really actively engaged, spreading the fingers, spreading the palm. Maintaining both arms equally. And then come back to the center, just rest your hands on your knees. Just feel the kind of open energy of the arms and of the shoulders and of the head and the neck and of the chest. Just stretch your legs out in front. Get your belt if you can reach it. If you haven't got a belt, then just you can reach your legs. Just take it out of the loop if it's in a loop, and then hook the belt around your feet, but have the feet hip width apart. It gives you more space to start off with. Again, now that your legs are outstretched, maybe the seat bones feel different. So just feel that you can just wriggle about, maybe move the buttock flesh if you need to, in order to kind of even out the seat bones. Stamp the shins down into the floor, tighten the kneecaps, draw the kneecaps firmly into the sockets, hit the thigh muscle firmly into the bone. Turn the thighs inwards, the fronts of the thighs inwards, so that you feel the skin of the calf muscle kind of broaden outwards along the floor. Lift from the hips up into the armpits. Breathe nice and softly. Problem with your back, stay at this stage. If there's no problem with your back, just come forwards a little. So as you come forwards, try not to come forwards by bulging out the shoulder blades, by kind of dropping the front chest like this, because you're just going to hurt your back. You have to lift the front chest upwards, driving the front chest up, hitting the tops of the thighs down into the floor, like someone's standing on the thighs, lifting the chest, and then come forwards a little more. If you can, you're going to reach your feet. So lifting and opening the chest, activating those legs, tightening the kneecaps, hitting the thigh muscles firmly into the bone. If you can reach your feet, then do. But each time you come forwards, just observe the balance of the seat bones, and just observe if you're kind of rounding in your back. So as soon as you start to feel like you're rounding in your back, so Nick, you're rounding in your back there. So hold on to the belt or onto the feet, and then work to just lift the skin of the abdomen up towards the diaphragm region up towards the collarbone, so that you start to straighten in the back, but keeping those legs really firm. Breathing nice and softly in through the nose, out through the nose. If you can, you bend your elbows out to the sides, but not at the expense of the back chest getting long and the front chest getting short. We lift that front chest. Breathing nice and softly, soften the jaw, smile. Breathing nice and that's a really good smile move. Lovely. So lift and open the chest, coming forward, breathing nice and softly. Okay. Everyone else's smiles are nice as well. So lift and open the chest, and then come back to the center, and then come off your lift. So as you come out of a forward bend, maybe it feels like you kind of open up the energy of the mind a little. Sit back on your, sit on all fours, and just come back. Sorry, have your little finger on the edge of the mat, stretch the thumbs towards each other, and then just step back a little, turn your toes under. We're going to go up into dog down. So turn your toes under, really spread the palms, spread the fingers, spread the palms, and then bend in the knees, tilting the seat bones up towards the ceiling. So bend in the knees to start off with, so that you move into your shoulder blades. So bend in the knees, and then lifting the seat bones and the tailbone up so that they face the ceiling, so that you move into the shoulder blade region. Squeeze the outer elbows in, lengthen from the front of the armpit into the heel of the hand, and then lift from the armpit into the, lift from the wrist up into the armpit, from the armpit up into the hips, and then straighten your legs in the same way as you were doing in dandasana. So you tighten the kneecaps, you hit the thigh into the bone, press the front of the thigh through to the back of the thigh. Breathe deeply, softly, staying high on your tiptoes. Breathe in nice and softly, in through the nose, out through the nose, soft in the jaw, soft in the tongue. Tightening the thigh muscle, hitting the front of the thigh through to the back of the thigh. Turning the thighs inwards, turning the shins inwards so that the heels start to separate. And then step forwards, come up into a standing position. And then just have the feet as wide apart as your mat, turning your toes inwards so that the outside edge of your feet are in line with the edge of the mat. Lift and open the chest. Raise your arms up over your head and then hook the thumb into the crease of the elbow. Wrap the fingers around your elbows. Coming halfway if you've got problems with your back, otherwise hinging at the hips, keeping the front chest lifted and long like you were doing in dandasana, coming forwards into paschimottanasana, lengthening that front chest as you come forwards and hang down. Keeping the legs activated as you did in dandasana at the beginning. So Tadasana is the central standing pose. And we try and incorporate Tadasana into every pose that we do. Dandasana is the central seated pose. It's the pose that we refer back to time and time again for the seated poses and for the twists. But they are interchangeable. You can find Tadasana in the seated poses. You can find Dandasana in the standing poses. So this is pretty much the same pose as paschimottanasana, Dandasana coming forwards. So can you activate your Dandasana in the same, can you activate Dandasana now in Uttanasana? So you need to charge up the legs, hit the shins back, turn the thighs in, turn the shins in, activate the kneecaps, push the fronts of the thighs through to the backs of the thighs. So you feel the backs of the thighs broaden, keeping the front chest long even when you hang down. So work to lift the sternum bone, broaden the abdomen, lift the sternum bone towards the diaphragm towards the collarbone. Breathe in nice and softly. As we came forwards, we didn't focus on broadening out the abdomen, but can you do that now? And then just gently release your hands down to the floor and then come up into a standing position. Good. So just standing in Tadasana, inner edge of the feet together, big toes touching, heels touching, lifting the chest. So yesterday we did all of the Virabhadrasanas, the 1, 2, and 3 of the Virabhadrasana poses, the warrior poses. So lift and open the chest, drive the spine upwards. Breathe nice and softly. And then stretch the arms forwards. Extend your consciousness into each individual finger. Spread in the palms. And then raise your arms. Lengthen up into the little finger side. Stretch the thumbs towards the back of the room. So I run out of ceiling height here, but I'm still trying to work into the little finger side. As you lengthen into the little finger side, try not to hit your legs forwards. Try not to lighten your heels. Stretch the arms out nice and wide in towards the chest. That makes sense. Stretch the arms nice and wide, lift in the chest is what I meant. And then step or jump the feet nice and wide. And then bring your hands onto your hips. So lifting and opening the chest. Feel that you can pelvicize the standing pose. So if you just let everything go, just let everything kind of relax for a moment, your center of gravity really drives kind of down that way, but also kind of into the insides of the feet. So just let everything release for a moment, let everything kind of just collapse down into the floor. You quite quickly become heavy, don't you? Your legs become quite heavy quite quickly. There's kind of aggravation on the outer heels, perhaps. So I want you to focus on this feeling of broadening outwards in 360 degrees from the pelvis down into the legs. So reactivate the legs, tighten the kneecaps. Feel that you're radiating from the pelvis down into the feet, and from the feet up into the pelvis, from the pelvis up into the chest, from the heart area out into the arms. Turn your left toes in slightly, right leg and foot all the way out, and then Trikonasana, come down over the front leg. As you come down over that front leg, can you maintain the activation of the back leg, of the brain of the pose? Breathe in nice and softly, activating the legs, radiating out from the pelvis, pelvisizing the pose. So from the pelvis into the legs, from the feet into the pelvis, from the pelvis into the chest, from the heart area out into each arm. Breathe in nice and softly. Looking up if you can. If that's a strain on your neck, just look forwards, or you can even look down. Stretch up with the top hand, come back to the center. Just release the hands for a second, swap the feet around, turn the right toes in slightly, the left leg and foot all the way out. Just being mindful of the alignment of the feet, the heel lining up with the arch of the front foot. And then again, re-pelvisize the pose. Stretch out from the heart region into the arms. And then come over to the side, maintaining the focus on the back leg. Pelvisizing out from the legs, out from the pelvis into the legs, from the legs up into the pelvis, from the pelvis into the chest. Just have a quick look down as your head over your foot. If it's not, then turn the front leg thigh, the left leg, turn that left leg thigh from the big toe side to the little toe side. Squeeze the buttock bone, that left leg, squeeze it in towards the front of the room. Resisting that action with the back leg. Lift the chest so that your head is directly over the foot. And then reach up with the top hand, come back to the center, bring the feet parallel, and then step or jump the feet back together, come back into Tadasana. So you can remain pelvisized in the pose of Tadasana. So broaden, radiate energetically from the pelvis down into the feet, from the feet up into the pelvis, from the pelvis up into the chest. Breathe in nice and softly. Stretch your arms out in front, interlock the fingers, turn the palms all the way out, and then raise your arms over your head. Dangliasana. Squeeze the outer elbows in. Pelvisize the legs down into the feet, from the feet up into the pelvis, from the pelvis up into the chest. Like there's a beacon of energy radiating out from the pelvis. Breathe in nice and softly in through the nose and out through the nose. Release your arms, just swap the fingers, swap the interlock of the fingers like we did at the beginning. Turn the palms all the way out, and then again raise the arms up. Pelvisizing, extending, breathing, soft in the jaw, soft in the tongue. release your arms. So as you have your arms over your head, you get this length into the side ribs, lifting from the side ribs up into the armpits. So we want to maintain that real active lift as we come into Virabhadrasana 1. So just come into the, step the feet nice and wide, and then just bring your hands onto your hips. And then this time you're going to turn the left toes in really, really steeply. So you turn them in as much as you can, and then kind of pick up the toes and kind of rotate on the heel. So your heels should be level at this stage. Your heels should be kind of in line with each other. Just have a quick look, because sometimes you realize that your heels aren't really in line. It feels more like the Trikonasana feet. So pick up that back heel, turn the thigh of that back leg. So this back leg really turns, and then draw the heel down. And that might make you feel like you've gone a little bit too wide, but the hips will feel much more level. So if you feel like you've gone slightly too wide, just step in a tiny bit, but don't kind of go, it shouldn't be like this. It should be kind of wide. So that back leg is turning inwards. The back of the thigh is turning outwards. Just have your hands on your hips. The hips should feel level. Just before we go any further, I want you to pelvicize the legs. Radiate out from the pelvis down into the legs. Radiate from the legs up into the pelvis. From the pelvis up into the chest. Raise your arms. Keeping that back leg really straight. Keeping the kneecap tight under that back leg. And this is where you feel maybe you have to creep the toes away a little bit. Find a right angle with that back leg. Even if the back heel, with the front leg, sorry, even if the back heel lifts. So right angle with that front leg. Lengthening, pelvisizing up from the pelvis up into the chest, up into the arms. Find that lightness from the pelvis, radiating outwards into the legs evenly and into the chest. Draw the abdominal walls back. Drawing those abdominal walls back to protect the lumbar. Breathing nice and softly. Soft in the jaw and in the tongue and in the throat. And then straighten that leg, just release your arms. Just reset the legs. Turn the right toes in and the left leg and foot all the way out. Pick up the heel of that back leg, rotate the front of that back thigh. And then bring the heel down. So the heels are, this back heel is turned so acutely, it's almost doing Tadasana, not quite. Just bring your hands onto your hips. Just see if you can feel that the hips feel even. So before you bend that front leg, keep the legs straight as if we're going into paschimottanasana. Radiate out from the hips into the feet. The feet up into the hips. The hips up into the pelvis, up into the armpit. And then reach up. Lengthen from the pelvis up into the armpits and then into the fingertips, and then find your right angle. Even if the back heel lifts, just keep that back leg really firm, tightened at the kneecap. Bend that knee. You might have to creep forwards a little bit with that front leg. Feel that the hips are level. Pelvisizing out from energetically from the pelvis into the legs. The pelvis up into the chest, up into the arms. Drawing the abdominal walls back slightly. Soften the jaw and in the tongue and in the throat. Okay, and then come back to the center and then step or jump the feet back together. Come back into Tadasana. So spend a few moments just listening to the sound of the breath. pelvisizing the pose down into the legs, up into the chest, from the feet up into the pelvis, pelvis up into the chest. Just bring your feet hip width apart, turn your toes in, thumbs into the crease of the elbows, and then coming forwards. But remember dandasana as you come forwards. Dandasana legs, tadasana legs. Broadening the abdomen outwards as you come forwards. Just letting the top of the body hang down, but don't let the back chest become necessarily straighter than the front chest. Keep working to drive that front chest, to lift that front chest, keeping the legs really firm, as if you're pressing the shins into the floor, rotating the fronts of the shins inwards, drawing the kneecaps firmly back through to the back of the knee, lifting the thigh muscle, turning the thighs inwards. And then when you turn the fronts of the thighs, the fronts of the shins, then you find more space in the hips, in the seat bone region. So you can always broaden the seat bones apart, lifting the seat bones up away from the heels and lengthening the front chest down to the floor. Breathe in nice and softly in through the nose and out through the nose. Okay, and then just gently release the hands to the floor and then slowly come up into a standing position. Just come down onto your feet, sit back on your heels in virasana. Feel that the shins make good contact with the floor, lift, open the chest, and then hinge at the hips, come forwards, hinging at the hips, and then stretch your arms away. But try and keep the seat bones down on the heels. After the leg work, maybe seat bones will stay down a little lower. Keep that front chest long, as though you're coming into that forward stretching dandasana, paschimottanasana action. Keeping the front chest lifting as you come down, even if you initially lose contact with the heels. Bring the forehead down, and then try and turn the sacrum, so just above the tailbone, turn the sacrum down to the tailbone, turn the tailbone down to the heels. Try and kind of create contact between the seat bones and the heels. Just listen to the sounds of your breath, in through the nose and out through the nose. Soft in the jaw, soft in the tongue. And then just gently release your hands back to your knees and then come back up into a seated position. Just sit back on your heels, lift and open the chest. Feel the energy that you've created through your standing poses rising up through the chest, drawing the shoulders down away from your ears. So listen to the sound of the breath. Okay, just come down onto all fours, turn your toes under and then come up into dog down. Just letting the legs refresh after being in virasana. Have the feet about hip width apart, have the hands about shoulder width apart. Activating the legs, pushing the hands into the floor, pelvisizing outwards, down into the feet, up from the feet into the pelvis. The pelvis into the chest, maintaining that forward lifted action of the front chest, like you're coming forwards in paschimottanasana, dandasana. activating the legs as though the legs were on the floor, and you're pushing the shins down onto the floor. You're pushing the kneecaps down to the backs of the knees, and you're pushing the thighs down to the floor, as if you were sitting on the floor, not letting the floor now be the driver. You lift away from the floor. But in dandasana, when the legs are on the floor, you're pressing down. So it's that same action. Okay, and then come down onto your knees, and then just sit back on your seat bones, and then come down into supta paschimottanasana, just to let the legs release, just to let the spine release. Just listen to the sounds of the breath. Just a little moment of release and respite. Allowing the body to rest down into the floor. Listening to the sounds of the breath as they enter and as they exit. So allowing yourself just to use this time to rest into the floor. So sometimes we activate the legs dynamically. But we're just using this as a moment of respite. And then just bring your knees together. So bring the knees together, have the feet apart. Just to reverse the opening of the hips. And then bring the feet, stay down on the floor, bring the feet hip width apart, have the knees hip width apart. And then you're going to keep your left foot on the floor and lift the right knee towards your chest. Pull the right knee in towards your chest, but then bring the foot over so that it sits on top of the left thigh. So it's a little bit like Rajaka legs. It's a little bit like pigeon pose. So the foot is kind of on the top of the left thigh, and then let that knee, that right knee, just let it kind of drift away from the body a little. And then you're going to reach around the left knee and then just draw that left knee in. So it's a real kind of stretch on that right hip. Lengthen into the heel of the left leg. So you really activate that leg. Pull the knee in towards the chest. So this isn't really an Iyengar pose at all, but it's just a nice way of opening up the hips after working through those poses that we have done. Breathe in nice and softly in through the nose and out through the nose, drawing the chin in towards the chest. This is a great pose to do if you have been working and if you've been on your feet all day, working or walking or whatever. It's a really nice way of getting a stretch into the hip and into the hamstrings, just releasing the leg. And then just gently release that left knee and then just stretch, then just have both legs kind of, so the feet are close to the seat bones, the legs stay bent. So the feet are still hip width apart. So we can do the same pose on the other side. So pull the left knee in towards the chest. So grip around the knee, pull it in towards the chest, and then bring the front of the foot over so that it sits on top of the right thigh. So like I say, it's a bit like that kind of Rajaka action, that pigeon pose action. Then draw the right knee in towards the chest, grip around the outside of that right knee, and then pull the right knee in towards the chest. It will feel different on both sides, flexing that right knee, that right heel, pulling that hip, that knee in towards the body, but go with whatever is kind of comfortable. So comfortably challenging. You can activate that left leg or just let it go kind of just a little idle. Feel the stretch of the outer hip and the hamstrings. Breathing nice and softly in through the nose and out through the nose. Listening to the sounds of the breath, pulling that knee inwards just to give you that good outer hip stretch. Okay, and then just gently release that leg and then pull the feet in towards you and then come back into Supta Baddha Konasana. So maybe your Supta Baddha Konasana feels kind of flatter in the pelvis. Maybe your knees come a little bit closer to the floor. Of course, if you've got stiffness in your hips, then put blocks underneath your thighs. Otherwise, just stay and maintain. Okay, and then draw the knees in towards the chest. Just have a little, pull the knees in towards the chest, have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, just giving yourself a gentle massage on the spine. And then just rock yourself up into a seated position and then just come into cross legs. So come into cross legs with your hands around your knees so that you really lift and open your chest. Draw the breath down into the abdomen, that samanic breath, so that you can really just feel, it helps you to connect with your energy. Draw the breath in through the nose down into the abdomen so that you can feel the energy radiating out from the pelvis, up into the chest, into the legs, to the head. Good deep in breath in through your nose. And then with an exhalation, just gently turn to the right side, digging the back hand into the floor, turn in the chest. Softening your jaw, softening your tongue. And come back to the center, grip around the knees, lift and open the chest, drive the spine upwards. Take a good deep in breath and then turn to the left side. Breathing nice and softly in through the nose, out through the nose, lifting and opening the chest. Drawing the abdomen across, the ribs across, the shoulders across, but keeping the head soft, the neck soft. And then just gently come back to the center. Just get your folded blanket as your little pillow. Just make sure it feels kind of level, kind of evenly folded. And then just lay yourself along the center of your mat, just making sure that you're in a really good straight line. So just make sure that you're in a good straight line. If you're wearing glasses, it's nice to take them off. Just do Tadasana with the legs initially, so that you really feel like you're in a good straight line, and then just gently release the legs, release the feet. Release the arms, release the chest, release the legs. Now we can just let the body just become heavy on the floor. Consciously unhooking the muscles. Listen to the sound of the breath. Let the body become completely immobile, heavy. Then for a little while, you start to feel your energy rise into the uppermost body. So it may feel different today than other days. Feel, although the body is heavy, that the insides are light. Your energy starts to rise up from the floor to the uppermost skin. Using your in-breath and your out-breath to distribute that energy evenly around the body. So that lightness reaches the tips of the fingers, the tips of the toes, the top of the head. So just indulging in the lightness from the inside. Releasing in the inner ear. Allowing the brain cells to move from the front of the brain down towards the base of the skull. Okay, when you're ready, just gently begin to wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, just bringing yourself back into this pose of Shavasana. And then bend your knees, pull your knees in towards your chest. Just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, just giving yourself a grounding massage on your spine. And then just gently roll over onto your right side. Just stay down for a breath or two. And then straighten out the top leg. Come back, bring yourself back up into a seated position. And then back into swastikasana with the hands in the masti. Again, just making sure that you feel even and level. Just a final spinal lift, drawing the breath in through the nose down into the abdomen. Conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this morning, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions, the forward bends, the twists, the inversions bring to the body and to the mind. Draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside. And send some of that positive energy out into the world. Just gently release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. As you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. Thank you. So hopefully you feel like you've given yourself kind of opening and you've given yourself lots of good positive energy for your day. So have a great day and spread some positive energy everywhere you go. So thank you very much.